that just kind of backs out everything.
This guy. And was pulling teeth trying to get him to join. I was like, this is you. He's like, no. Here with Douglas. Alright, good morning everybody. Thank you all for braving the cold this morning. Hopefully y'all weren't up too late last night ogling at the Aurora Borealis. I know I was up way too late. Well, it's tonight too, I think. So you have your second chance. It was really nice out in Hilliard. And I think it was everywhere. You saw it in Hilliard? Oh, yeah.
Huh?
I drove out.
Yeah.
That was only like 5 minutes. Yeah. So my name is Mallory. I'm one of the co-chairs for the Coffee with a Cause programming, and I also am the Community Relations Specialist at the Delaware County Board of Developmental Disabilities. But today's program is not about me. It is about these 5 wonderful folks that are sitting beside me. And I'm going to let all of you introduce yourself, which organization you represent, and if you could give like your elevator snapshot speech about what you do, that would be wonderful. We'll start with you, Matt.
Yeah, so I'm Matt Cookman. I am from the Columbus Symphony. I work there. I'm their marketing and communications manager, as well as the marketing director of the Columbus Pride Bands. Quick snapshot of what I do is, I do, in arts worlds, you wear so many different hats that it's hard to just say a quick snapshot. But when I say marketing, it's anything from I'm their photographer to doing website updates to doing the back-end code of some of our random stuff, like making animations on After Effects or Premiere. And then at the Columbus Pride Bands, I'm also working and doing some of their sponsorship, like advertising in general. So I think that's the quickest snapshot I have. Yeah.
Good morning, my name is Robin Brenneman. I'm the Artistic Director for the Hilliard Arts Council. I like to say we are a full-service arts organization. We do 6 shows a year. We also have an adult choir and a youth choir. We do summer camps for kids. And we have a small but mighty art gallery in our theater. We have a small theater located in the heart of Old Hilliard. So we just closed Godspell and are rehearsing Christmas Carol right now. So that's basically what we do.
Hi everybody, my name is Lita Hoffman, and I'm the Artistic Director at the Contemporary Theater of Ohio, which some people might know as CATCO. We rebranded a few years ago. And at the Contemporary, we are one of the professional theater companies in Columbus. And so we employ actors and designers and technicians and artists to do a 5-show season of contemporary works. So we're always looking for new plays that speak to the current moment. Maybe plays that have just been on Broadway or plays that are coming up in the American theater and sharing them with Columbus audiences. And we do a one-woman Christmas Carol every year. So we have that coming up, and then in the spring we're doing a great new play by an Ohio State alum called Jaja's African Hair Braiding, and then the most recent Pulitzer Prize winning play, Primary Trust.
Hi everyone, Marijn Vanderheiden. I am Executive Director of Dublin Arts Council. I've only been there for a few months now. Before that I was with Ohio State University's Urban Arts Space. At Dublin Arts Council, the nucleus of our program is really public art. So much of what we do is centered around public art. And we connect people through public art. So creative placemaking is really at the center of what we do. It's very community driven. Our public art program is one of the most long-standing programs that I know of. So we've been doing this for almost 40 years. So we have a really good sized collection of over 65 pieces. And we're able really at this point to reap the benefits of that with a community that's very invested in the public arts. So it's a really exciting place to be.
All right, hello everyone, Cyrus Richardson. I'm with 12 Stones Productions, a filmmaker. Out here I've got 7 short films I've completed so far, and I'm focused on my first feature film right now. A lot of people in this room helping me, and so the Ohio Film Tax Credit granted us, award, and even the city of Hilliard gave us a grant as well to help us fundraise, so appreciate that. So I'm staying here in Columbus, Ohio to try to get the film economy going.
And Cyrus is also a very integral person in this programming series as well. So chances are most people in here have had some sort of contact with him. He's very wonderful, and we would not be able to do it without him. Also, the Dublin Arts Council, the snails. As soon as I saw that you were on the panel, I was like, the snails! So if you ever drive that Dublin Road 33, they all
By Friendship
the
Village.
giant orange snails on the side of the road. I was very excited to have a place
I have
to
some
more
stories
to share.
I need to hear more about this.
So I sent you guys a list of questions. The questions that I have prepared are not like exactly word for word, but I'm not gonna like throw any surprising or shocker questions in there. So how did you all get where you are today? How did your journey, how did your path lead you to the position that you have today within your organization?
First? Okay, sorry. So first, sorry, I introduced myself, but I did not introduce my organizations at all. So I'll do that again right now. I'm so sorry. So at the Columbus Symphony, we're a professional orchestra. We're a 52-week orchestra, and we have 12 Masterworks series, and then we also do 5 Pops concerts in the Davidson and the Ohio. And then we also do a number of community concerts, like pint-sized concerts, as well as professional, kind of a young professional thing called College Club that we do, and then we also have a Pride Affinity group that I'm in charge of as well. And then Columbus Pride Bands, we are a community ensemble that practices at the Harmony Project, which is amazing, with Tamarack. And then and that's an amazing organization that is really about like developing community relations, specifically in the Pride community. How I got to what I'm doing, so I'm still figuring out what I'm doing, I think. So I graduated from my bachelor's in 23. So I got what I'm doing right now simply just by putting myself into what I love and like kind of sticking myself around places that that I want to be a part of. If there was someone who I admired, I was like, man, I should get to know them. I should ask them to go to coffee or something, and I want to, So. Yeah, so far right now it's just kind of come in the fact, okay, I got the job, and then work hard, got it, okay. But yeah, so that's kind of.
Well, I started, when I was in high school being in plays, and then went to Ohio State, got my degree in theater, taught for 30 years in Hilliard, where I met my husband at the time, and he is the one 50 years ago who started the Hilliard Arts Council and brought me along for the ride. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2014, and so I took the helm of the Arts Council after that. I retired from teaching in 2005, a little bit before you were born. And then was able to kind of throw myself into the Arts Council full time so that we could expand our theatrical season, and now I'm just dedicated to trying to grow the organization every year, so we keep trying to do new things. Our latest venture is I'm trying to create a new class of directors because I've been doing it for 50 years, and eventually I'm going to wear out. And I was like, who's going to direct? So I'm going to do a directing workshop, teach some people who want to learn about directing how to do it.
And you are celebrating 50 years.
Yes, we
50th
are.
anniversary.
This is our
So
50th
congratulations to
anniversary.
that. That's so awesome.
Thank you.
I've been doing theater my whole life. I grew up overseas, and so I moved all the time for my dad's job, and theater is how I built community. So I would show up at a new school, audition for the play, and then I would have friends. And honestly, that value, I think, has really continued as a thread of why I continue to make theater. I moved to Columbus 5 years ago. I was working in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and then in Chicago, and I got an email from an old friend that said there's a theater in Columbus, and I really think you need to talk to them. And so after a whole bunch of conversations, I moved my life here, and now I have this amazing life in Columbus. So I think from a sort of career path angle, the world of like season-long paid apprenticeships was really important for how I got my start post-college. I went to college at Grinnell in Iowa. And so I was able to work, I ended up at Milwaukee Rep, and then just had a number of different administrative jobs in the education department and the literary department and the community engagement department, and was able to work myself up into artistic leadership.
Excellent, thank you.
Sweet. Yeah, for me, I would say my path was not linear at all. One thing, I did start out as an artist. I'm trained as an artist. I worked as an artist for quite a long time. But I also early on got involved in bigger projects. So I was part of a group who created an exhibition from scratch in a fort back in the Netherlands where I grew up. So I too grew up overseas. So one of the two things I would say that connect my path are, showing up for whatever opportunity arises. That's absolutely one thing. I'm a shy person, but I'm also really interested in new work. I'm really interested in vision, in new projects. And when something excites me, I just can't sit on the sidelines. So I will typically, raise my hand and say, okay, yeah, I'll come in, I'll be there. So that's one aspect. The other aspect of my path is I am deeply engaged and interested in learning. So it was for a very long time associated with university. It's a place that I love. Again, like working with students is just kind of the best place you can be because you're always surrounded by fresh and new ideas. And so that's kind of my full circle path, right? I started as an artist, eventually ended up being a faculty member teaching in the arts. My life led me to Florida, and then I came back to Ohio. I took an administrative job at the university, which is where I guess I met Mallory, which is really great. So I learned a lot about administration there, and then ended up connecting with Urban Art Space, where I was the director for a period of time. So sort of, coming full circle back to the arts, and now at Dublin Arts Council. So that's a bit of my journey, but it's really about staying curious, always saying yes when there's an opportunity, and really keeping an eye out for opportunities as they arise. To be a part of something creative, to be a part of something new.
My journey started probably around the age of 16, saved up my money to get a camera. It was $500, that was expensive at the time. And I was hanging out with the PA kids. I was never in performing arts, but I was friends with them, and we would just make skits and record as much as we could. So I ended up going to college, getting a degree in psychology, and then that's when I started taking screenwriting class, minor in communications and filmmaking. I kind of decided that's what I wanted to do. Ended up going to Ohio Media School, and that turned into me producing 7 short films. So that's kind of solidified that this is what I want to do.
And you won most promising graduate or something of that nature per my LinkedIn's briefing.
Appreciate it.
I was like, I should have gotten your signature long ago. Well, thank you, and I love the idea of putting yourself into spaces that you want to be in, and making those connections and stuff, because really, so much of our journeys and so much of where we find ourselves in life is from those, coincidental interactions, or, I know a person who knows a person who knows a person. So I love to hear those kinds of stories. So I know this is kind of like a bigger picture, broad question. But what's, from your perspective and your position right now, is the status of the arts in Columbus? So what types of exciting things are happening at your organization right now?
So for the symphony, there's a bunch of really exciting things happening. Same with our Columbus Pride bands. So Columbus Pride bands, we're just now like, we're starting to like have actual funding, actual like foot in the door of certain things. We're creating really great partnerships. We just had a partnership with Black Sheep where we're playing in all their home games with our pet band. We just added another ensemble. So we previously just had one concert band and now we have two. We have a wind ensemble and concert band. And then we're now having, I think, 2 jazz bands. So we're just growing and growing and growing. So one of the biggest things that I'm excited for is just watching this organization that I work for and do volunteer work for just really grow. And then of course at the symphony, there's a bunch of really cool things happening right now. You know, we just got a new CEO, so we are really learning kind of her leadership style, and we're processing all of that. And, you'll probably hear at some point talking about our new concert hall that we're thinking about building and so forth. And so that's really exciting to try and tell our community, here's why we need this, here's what we need. But right now we're really in the like continuing the thought and consuming it all, especially with our new leadership of like where we're gonna go with it. But that's what I'm really excited about, especially in the music scene, like how we can collaborate inside of other groups. Like how can the Columbus Pride bands and the Columbus Symphony work together? I think about that all the time. Or pride groups getting together, like we're having a holiday party for the Symphony Pride Affinity Group and Loud and Proud at the Art Museum. So those little tiny connections and community building around it is really exciting for me.
I do a summer concert series, we'll have to talk.
We also do.
Well, I know, but I'd like to hire your pride band.
Oh! Then yes, I'm ready.
And one of the things, Nat, that I found when I was doing my research last night and that I didn't know existed, so if you are not familiar with Columbus Symphony's website, they had like a little like cosmopolitan personality quiz of like which classical symphony production should you see, which I thought was super cool because I know nothing about any of the things that I see. I'm like, would I be interested in that? Or, so it helps you answer your questions for which of the productions would be best fit for what you're looking for.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
The personality quiz is something that I made just so.
Oh, you did that?
Yeah, so I'm also the website developer.
Oh, you're
I see. That's what I was saying.
You are.
Yeah, so the website is me and this also this great group in Clintonville called Between State. They do website, nonprofit, whatever. But the quiz itself was something that me and my coworker Jordan just like developed. It's really fun. It really is, and it's just like, okay, which classical concert fits you? I always got Mahler 1. It's like big personality, whatever. You'll have to see what concert you get. Come to that next show. That's cool.
Well, and I told Nat earlier that I was super excited about the potential of a new symphony hall because I think all of us in the performing arts would agree that one of the biggest issues we face is lack of performance space, especially for community groups. You know, I get requests all the time. I'm lucky enough to have my own little theater in Hilliard, but there aren't a lot of spaces for community groups to perform that are also affordable. I mean, you know, we could perform at the Bird Rice Center, but we could do one show there, and that would be pretty much our budget. So I'm excited about a mid-sized concert space happening. As far as the Arts Council is concerned, I guess the thing that we have been working on developing the most is stuff for kids. We do 2 shows a year. I call it For Kids, By Kids. It's kind of a riff on FUBU. And they're 4th through 8th grade kids. We're getting ready to do Little Mermaid, and the whole cast will be made up of kids in 4th through 8th grade. They have developed their own little community, you know, as Lita said, you know, that's the best way to make friends, and you know, a lot of times arts kids, theater kids are kind of square peg kids, you know, that don't fit in the round hole, especially if they don't do sports. So we do these 2 productions, plus we have, and we just expanded 8 weeks of camp in the summer for kids. We have a couple of musical theater camps. The one I'm really looking forward to is we're going to do a clown camp this summer to teach kids how to do clowning. You know, you have to be careful because clowns. It used to be like a clown, come on, and now, you know, it's a scary reputation, but we'll figure it out.
Is there gonna be an adult version of the
Yeah.
clown?
You know?
I'm scared of clowns.
But, so we thought that would be fun, and then those kids could theoretically perform at a birthday party or something like that. We're not gonna do the white makeup. I think that's partly what makes it scary for some people, is just, you know, so we're gonna try and back off of that, but, so I guess expanding, and as I said, we also have a youth choir, that has expanded. I think we've got 80 kids, in 2 different age group choirs this year, because they're hungry for it. And there aren't as many opportunities for kids, and especially in their home communities, so, you know, we do this stuff for adults too, of course, but we're really passionate about, because then we're growing our own, right? Then they graduate from our kid productions, and now we have some talented young adults that want to do our shows too. So.
You know, I went to the circus, speaking of clowns, sorry, my squirrel moment, earlier this year when it was in town, and I learned that in clown culture, the only authentic way to like get a nose is from an actual clown. That was a well-known thing.
Well, no, not, I don't know, well, no, but
Yeah.
in a little
Like a
theater
rite
bubble,
of passage.
in my
Yes.
theater bubble, if
So
message
so that's
it's
something,
an honor, yeah.
like the first thing you teach the children is that once you are bestowed a nose from a clown, like you are, you're officially a member of the clowning community.
Interesting.
Yeah, you know, a bit,
It's serious. It's serious business.
yeah, going to this question about what's happening in the arts in Columbus, I feel like big picture, we have so much potential for growth. And, you know, I came here 5 years ago as an outsider, and the first thing I went is, wow, our operating budgets, right? So arts organizations are often classified by like, how much money does it cost to run us in a year? And our operating budgets of our, you know, mainly I know most about performing arts organizations, right? So our theaters, our ballets, our symphonies, our operating budgets are smaller than our peer cities, significantly smaller. And so I think about this all the time, is, you know, Columbus grew later than Cleveland and Cincinnati, but now we are a very large city. And so I feel like actually we have holes in this city of, you know, my theater is $1 million operating budget, Short North Stage is around $2 million right now. If you go and you look at the large theaters in Cleveland and Cincinnati and Indianapolis and Milwaukee where I used to work, and we're talking about $13, $14, $15 million theaters. And so the scale of sort of what I would call right-sizing the arts ecosystem of Columbus is huge, which is really exciting. It's not a source of frustration for me, it's a source of joy, and a source of potential that as we get the folks who live here to know what the possibilities are, that the potential for growth is huge. And what does growth do? I say this thing which some people just stare at me like, why do we care? But I think like once someone gets their health insurance making props or making costumes in this city, like then we've done it. The universities are a great resource for that, but outside of academia, how do you employ artisans, people who paint sets, right? How many musicians are employed full-time with benefits in this city? How many actors are employed full-time with benefits? I think what's really helpful about where we're at right now is by the nature of our budget size, we actually focus more locally. Because what happens so often when you get to the size of a Cincinnati Playhouse and a Cleveland Playhouse is you can house actors in apartments that you pay for, right? You're bringing in people from out of town all the time. And what really excited me about Columbus, an opportunity as we grow to keep remembering, is the importance of local artists, local stories, local artists. And so that's what's so great about being a part of this community is the financial resources of it all actually force us to look inward and create pipelines for talent with our education programs, with our relationship with universities, and with the adult artists who are just moving to town and finding different places to perform. And I think that as we grow, if we keep remembering that and what it is to be for and by the Columbus and Central Ohio communities ourselves, then the growth and the potential as we expand, as we hopefully build more performance spaces, is going to be really rooted in locality.
I love that. That is so well said. And I think, kind of piggybacking on what was said before too, I think there's really a lot of momentum around collaboration as well. And so I think, all of that together, right, is really critical, I think, for where we sit today and how we work together, because that's, that's our next best chance. I guess this gives me a good minute to segue into the snails. Dwelling is a public art project created by Cracking Art. They're an Italian collaborative of artists, and they create these recycled plastic, creatures. So Dublin Arts Council, my brilliant predecessor, David Guillaume, purchased a number of their snails, and if you haven't seen them, they're quite, amazing.
You can't miss them.
They're about 12, the largest ones are about 12 foot tall, they're bright orange, so you can't miss them if you see them. But for Dublin Arts Council, this has been certainly, going forward, our strategy around the snails has been that we're going to involve the community in sorting out where they go next. So the idea is to create an open call, to ask our community members to help us vote on specific locations. And this then will also be tied into potentially a next large-scale public art project that might go in after the snail. So the snail is kind of the precursor to, something new is coming to your area. And furthermore, I think the little thing about the snail is that what I love about it, it's like it sort of stops you in your tracks, right? You have to contend with the snail. It's so large, it's so joyful, it's so out there. But even if you think about the title, it's called Dwelling, it forces you to take a minute to slow down. You think about a snail too, going at snail's pace, it's like there's so many different questions to think about when you encounter this piece of art. The other thing that we've been thinking about at Dublin Arts Council is to really focus on temporary projects, because things change, right? We have to be agile, we have to stay open to new needs and new voices. So especially with temporary public projects, it might open the door to artists who are not necessarily familiar with working on a really large-scale commission yet, right? So it's both an opportunity for artists, but also an opportunity for the general public to get involved and for the art to be very responsive to needs of the moment, because these projects generally don't take eons to complete, and they will also not stay forever. So it's been part of our strategy more recently, and I think that's been an important piece as well. So it also is more conducive to collaboration. So we were talking with Jamie Goldstein from Greater Columbus Arts Council a couple weeks ago, and we sort of agreed that maybe the snail can go to Columbus, and it can be a little bit of a signal for something new to come, because Columbus just adopted its first public art plan, which is really, really exciting. Yep.
It's first.
Yep. Official public art plan. Yep.
That's cool to see to hear that the snails are going to be mobile, because it may take a while. Well, it makes me think, I don't know if it was like from Cincinnati or has any affiliation with Cincinnati, but one of like the most defining things from an arts perspective growing up was they had submissions for the pigs, like the giant pig, and everyone kind of designed their own pig. And I just remember that being such a special memory with my family of like going around and seeing all the different like pigs that were designed by local artists, and Some of them are still there, but I think some of them, you know, found their final home elsewhere, but, it was just such a thing. And so the fact that that is something that we're kind of recreating in a sense that, like, oh, where are the snails now? That's very cool.
Yeah, Virginia did the same thing with cows.
Okay,
I was
cool.
gonna say,
Yeah.
didn't Columbus?
Yeah, Columbus did the cow.
This is
I was
a
thinking
thing.
we had
Yeah, the
cows
cow,
too.
it's like the
Yeah, a little bit of
cow.
animals all
There was
over
a
the country.
joke
They
about
make-
Columbus being a cow town,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, yeah.
So they had cows.
And I'm gonna be a little.
See, that's what,
Okay.
I'm one of the older people in the room who can remember back that far.
So we're in the film world. Outside of my project, there was a film called Down to the Felt, filmed in Columbus not too long ago, with the highest budget that's ever been filmed, was like at least 1.5 million. Cameron Mitchell was one of the investors in there, so for those with, you know, business ideas, you never know who's into your industry just because they're in another industry. And, you know, Superman came here to Ohio not too long ago. They filmed in Cleveland, in Cincinnati. That's why I'm trying to stay in Columbus, because a lot of they keep skipping over us. They go to Cleveland and Cincinnati because it looks like Chicago and Detroit and New York, so they're trying to mimic that landscape. But what's happening is these film industries are coming from California and kind of preying on our tax credits in Ohio because we don't have that many filmmakers. And so, you know, they're saying, oh, we're not gonna compete in California because it's hard to get those tax credits. So how about we go to Ohio and then look up what Superman got out of a tax credit, like the most of it all. And then they just leave. So we need more homegrown Ohio talent filmmakers because we're staying here. The point of that tax credit is to create a job economy so that these people can make a living 9 to 5, you know, here in this state without having to move to New York and Atlanta and California. So when they come here and prey on our tax credits and then leave, you know, they're taking their whole team with them and everything. So it's not really helping the film economy. So I encourage, you know, the filmmakers out here to look into it and look at the grants that are out here. There is free money. That's kind of what my mom taught me at a young age, you know, just there is money out there. If you say there's not, then there's not. And if you say that there is, then you will see those opportunities. So yeah, Ohio is a spot for growth, and I want to make sure that it's Ohio filmmakers getting those Ohio film tax credits.
Yeah, I'll add to that too, like, I don't know which production studio it was, but the Columbus Symphony just recently recorded the entire score for some series, a docu-series about Train Your Magdeburg that presented them in Albany and whatever. But they invested into us, and then they filmed a whole bunch of stuff around Columbus too. But that's something else that I thought of when we were talking about using homegrown talent, because like they paid us, and our musicians are all local compared to other orchestras around the town. So you know, you can also be a part of a community and also putting music back into where you are from.
I love moderating these and even attending because I go back to the office then with all these things to Google and like to look up. So I've got my whole lunchtime Googling down. Got this series, down with the felt, the one with the Christmas Carol. So I got all sorts of things. So Cyrus started talking a little bit about you know, the areas of need or maybe some of the challenges that we face specifically here in Central Ohio supporting the arts. So from your perspective or your organization, what are your areas of need? And then how can we here today help support or help show up for those areas of need?
I think the obvious answer is money. Like we all need funding in some regard, but inside of what funding looks like if we start to go like the donor model, I think the need there is also like creating experiences for people that it becomes a part of their everyday life, so that way they're just not going downtown once, you know, once a year and that's a get, or like they're not going to the theater once and like, oh, well, that's my creative night. It's the need is really creating an experience for someone that is a part of their everyday lives, and I think that's what we're working towards, not only at Columbus Pride Bands, but also the Symphony. How do we get from from ticket buyer to donor. That's the pipeline that we're really focusing on. But also recognizing that, you know, donor doesn't have to be $1,000 or $2,000. Donor can be $5, $10, whatever. So obviously that, and obviously spaces, like we need more space to be able to perform. And with the Columbus Pride Bands, I think one of the biggest things that we really need is just continued support from like the community. Like obviously we have support from our queer family, like, and people in Columbus, but I think right now we also need a lot of support just from people who are art goers and people who want to come to concerts and want to see live music. But, yeah.
And one of the things I love about the symphony, having gone to a few of the productions, is that you have, and I think it's specifically the pops, is the like accessibility as far as content goes.
Yeah.
My husband's from a very small town, so I don't think he'd ever been to any sort of like theater or musical production before we met. And so I was talking to Nat that earlier this year we went to like an 80s themed symphony pop band. It was on a Friday night. And he was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that like symphony could be like this.
Yeah.
And so like your movie adaptations as well, where like the symphony is playing the score of the movie, that's super neat as well. And then I love that you guys are participating in the Culture Pass series as well.
Yes, yeah. Our Culture Pass, I believe, and I talked to one of the librarians recently, it's like one of the most used ones for like our Masterworks concerts, I think outside of sports, I think the sports takes it. But that's the other part too. We also need more accessibility in music and like the things that we're like performing. You know, like we need to reach people not where they like think they need something, but at the part where it's like it's an escape for them sometimes. Yeah, and I think the Culture Pass is a great way to be able to do that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the things I struggle with, not being in the industry, but being like a purveyor of the arts, is, you know, understanding that people need to be paid and people deserve like you know, to have a sustainable life. But then also, you know, the prices of tickets and things I think can sometimes be financially inaccessible for folks. And so I appreciate, you know, that you guys have those opportunities and things like that, so that it's not necessarily, you know, there's no demographic or like economic barriers or lowering those barriers for folks.
Yeah, and we also have, you know, even if Culture Pass, because, you know, you could get a certain number of them for a certain amount of concerts, but, you know, we also have tickets that are cheaper on the end for those accessibilities. And we also have a program that we use called VetTix, so you can get free tickets if you're a veteran. If you're a member of our Pride group or our College Club group, you pay like one time and you get discounts for a bunch of other shows. Kids, from like if you're under 16, kids get in free. You know, we want to make it accessible also for parents to be able to come. So it's not like, okay, I gotta get a babysitter or whatever because you can't afford XYZ to pay for those tickets. Well, you just bring your kids. We have a great education program, and one of the other accessibility needs part of that is a program called the Academy, which gives lessons to students who might be, there's a financial barrier or whatever, and like real Columbus Symphony musicians giving musicians to lessons to these kids, which is a really great program.
Well, obviously, money is always, you know, for any arts organization, because, you know, someone said, well, you sell tickets, doesn't that? No. There is no production in the world that is going to make its budget just based on ticket sales. It just is not possible.
That's true.
It doesn't matter the price of the tickets, it's just not possible. And that's something that people don't understand, you know, and so you need, yes, development is a huge, and I was just talking to somebody the other day, you know, what is the sweet spot? When is the best time to ask a corporation for money? Because oftentimes we ask and they're like, oh, we've already committed our funds for the coming year, and I was like, okay, well, when should I have asked? You know, so that's one thing, but personally for community arts organizations, website design and marketing are huge because most of the people that are involved with my organization are volunteers. And I get paid, but my background is not marketing or website, it's theater. And so trying to figure out how to get the word out, you know, I wish I had a nickel for everybody that lives in Hilliard who said, oh gosh, I didn't know we had an arts council. I'm like, what? We do a free summer concert series right outside our building every summer, you know, but it's, you know, spreading the word and knowing the best way to let people know about what it is that we do. And because we have budget issues, we can't afford to pay a full-time. In fact, I was just joking with Lita because the Contemporary publicized the fact that Lita was on this panel today. And one of my former board members said, well, at least the Contemporary publicized. I said, well, yeah, because she has people. She has people, you know, she has a however many $1 million budget, you know, I have like a $200,000 budget. You know, so she said, hey, put this out on, so they did. You know, I don't have a people to do that. So that is one of our biggest challenges personally for the Hilliard Arts Council is just marketing, getting the word out about what we do so that we can increase our audience size. You know, we just did Godspell and we had decent houses. We sold out, you know, we only seat 170 people, so it's, you know, hard to make what you spend without upping the ticket prices. But anyway, that is one of our biggest challenges.
For the record, your website is great.
Well, thank you.
Nice.
I'm glad to know that. Sometimes it needs, you know, it just needs constant updating, you know. It has old information and I'm like, that is last year's picture of whatever, you know. Those kinds of things that if I could afford to pay someone to do that, then you know, it would probably be better.
I just echo what you said, just show up. And if you're interested in seeing the kind of art in town that maybe you haven't heard of, which like, to me is the most exciting, right? We're about to do Jaja's African Hair Braiding. It was a hit on Broadway. Some people in the theater world have heard of it, and also I bet a lot of people in this room are like, I don't know what that play is. And if you want to see that and you haven't heard of that play, but like you have heard of the Harry Potter tour, like, well, just come see this play you haven't heard of. This season at the Contemporary, all of our shows are 90 minutes. Please pay full price to arts events if you can. And also if that feels risky to you because you've never been before, you don't know if it's worth it, or you can't afford it, that's cool. Like, right, we all have programs to make sure you can get in the door. The first two performances of the Contemporary are always pay what you want ticket prices. You get to decide what the ticket price is. We have $20 student tickets for any performance. And so really just show up. Bring a friend who you think will be game for just showing up and seeing what this thing is about. And because you're going to find the concert, the theater production, the artwork that speaks to you, the film that speaks to you because you've gone out and tried things. And I think that that's honestly the most important way that you all can help us and help yourselves grow this community. We're also always looking for board members. I think we have to demystify what it means to be a donor, what it means to be a board member. I think so often we think like, oh yes, well these are people who are CEOs of banks, right? And yeah, hey, if a CEO of a bank would like to be on my board, I'd be happy to talk to them. But honestly, my board is made up of people who care, right? Who are seeking community, who have time, who have connections, who know how to pick up the phone and say, hey, friend, come to the theater with me. We're doing this really interesting production. And so I think that just ask, get involved, see things, and if something speaks to you, figure out how you get to see more of those things. And all of us want to help push that forward.
Yeah, I second that, and much of what's said before. And in terms of the what, yeah, we need more funding. But how? I think together we also talk about that the fact that creativity isn't optional. We need that to build a strong community. It's social infrastructure. It's infrastructure for belonging. And that's the, what do we say and how do we say it? Well, that's the message, because ultimately creativity is kind of what keeps us connected and what keeps keeps us, excited about doing the work that we do. Board membership, crucial, advocacy, crucial, right? All of those elements are really, really critical, and we need that all of the time. So if you don't have money, that's totally great, but being an advocate, being a board member, being, showing up, help us share that message. I would say that's probably one of the key components.
One of the things that I noticed when perusing the Dublin Arts Council website, talking about accessibility or like diversifying what the arts looked like, I was reading about the river boxes, which is like a combination, I'm gonna do a disservice, combination of like promoting local art and geocaching, if you're familiar with geocaching. It's like a treasure hunt for the real world. And so I thought that was really cool because, that might be someone's first introduction to art and creativity from a different perspective, and I thought that was a really neat project.
It's so true, Mallory, and this is, where we came to think of like these kind of more temporary projects, right? Like, how do we get families involved too? And because there's this geocaching activity, that's one, it's really exciting for families, and a lot of families participate, or, both folks who live in and around Dublin or in central Ohio, but, folks who come and visit the city as well. It's a well-known project by now. And the other piece, around artists, right? Because these are smaller temporary projects, this is also a perfect entry project for an artist to get into public art, because it's not a huge scale, it's relatively manageable. So it's really a quite brilliant program in that sense. And of course, public art in our case, all of it is free. It doesn't require anything. All you have to do is show up, and that's another beautiful aspect.
Yeah, so as mentioned, I'll say it again, money and funding is needed, but as you were saying, if we don't have that, I think a great thing to do is just share one another's, goals or companies or whatever you guys are trying to achieve. So as an entrepreneur, you kind of want to put yourself first. This is my business, this is what I need, and I've learned throughout the years that I get further talking about other people's projects and the things that they need, because then it doesn't seem like, of course I'm going to say I've got the best brownies or I've got the best idea because it's coming from me, but when you talk about someone else, it's that credibility. So I can help everyone by talking about, contemporary music or the Dublin Arts Council. I'm talking about that other than myself, then other people are listening and gravitating to it. For me, so we just all talk about each other's needs. I think that's what's going to help. I talk about Bexley all the time to other people, and the Hilliard Arts Council, that's what draws me in. So people talk about my project other than me. That's what's going to help, my project come to life. So it's kind of getting rid of that me first mentality for our economy, and the things that you believe in, you should be sharing it on LinkedIn or to your friends and family and your network. And I think that holds a lot more credibility. And the Columbus Metropolitan Club is something I go to quite often. They have these meetings on Wednesday at 11:30. A couple of months ago, they talked about arts in Columbus with a panel just like this. And they said that they went to all the top cities in America to try to see what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. And they noticed that the most robust cities have support for the arts in their city. And so that is, the ballet, musicals, film, anything arts, that is important. So when times get tough, what do? We cut funding for, what's the first to go? The arts. And so we don't think it's important, but that is really what makes the economy, strive. And so with the film world, people are going to go to restaurants, people are going to get hotels and Airbnbs, and then now you've hired a whole set of 40 plus people for 30 days to do things like that. So I think that, if we just keep on sharing one another and cooperate. I heard, we were talking about the pros and cons of people in Ohio, and I agree. They said our cooperation is a lot better than other cities and states. So if we keep on understanding what each other's needs are, I can help you, and you can help someone else. And I think that's what works better than all of us trying to get our own goals by ourselves.
The the symphony, when we got our new CEO, we did a survey of everyone in the organization and all the musicians and everything. And one thing that we constantly heard from everyone about the Columbus art scene, not just the symphony, was that Columbus always punches above its weight class. And I think that's true. Like, I think that we really strive and we do so much more that I think like other cities our size can't do. And I think we have the ability to do it. There's a really great person on LinkedIn, I don't know if you've her name is like Ruth Hart for Capacity Interactive. She does amazing work specifically in marketing, and one of the things that she says with showing up and what we need is like finding experiences for people who can enter at any given point, and sharing those experiences to other people. So whether it's like a date night at the symphony, or it's you know, a free kids concert or whatever. A large part of, in my opinion, I guess, from the marketing standpoint of getting people in, is having just those first points of contact, whether it's on social media or not. So also, like, one of the easiest ways that can take less than 15 seconds to share and continue to help build arts programs is also just to share on social media in any way. And it's like, I'm the social media manager for the symphony, so it's like, of course I say that too. But it's like, it's such a simple way to be able to like share, and then we can take that data, like our ROI, or return on interest for our socials posts, and we can bring that to our grant people and say, well, look how well we did, and then that also gets us more funding too. So interaction in general just helps funding.
And I'm a testament to that. As a neurodivergent person, the number of screenshots I have from people's like Instagram stories, like, oh, I didn't know that existed, and you know, they're all in the folder of doom. But I do look through them every once in a while. Things I want to do. So before I open up to questions, again, just if there are any final takeaways, any calls to action from the folks that are here today, folks that are maybe watching our YouTube after. What are your final words for the group?
Let's start with Cyrus.
And Cyrus has a time
I usually got
limit.
time to think about. I would just say it's a time of financial crunch on us, and so instinctively we want to contract and hold on to our money, and that is not how you get out of, you know, contractions. It's, we have to donate more, we have to volunteer more. That is how we expand ourselves. So I'm asking everyone that if you feel like, oh, I don't have money, we have $1. Just put that energy out there, put that intention out there, or 10 minutes of your time. So I think we've all got an hour, I think we've all got $10 to give in a month. So if we want to, you know, show other cities how to survive economic crashes or contractions, I think that's what I would ask for everyone to just continue to give whatever they can, and that's how you get out of it, like I said.
I've also already volunteered to be an extra in Cyrus's next film. So that's how I'm doing my part, and it's now recorded for posterity's sake.
Unpaid.
Make a really good like zombie in the background. Yes, unpaid, that's what the volunteer part means.
Yeah, I would just say, supporting the arts isn't charity, it's strategy, right? It's strategy for belonging, for building social infrastructure, for building these connections. That's just kind of the key point I want to drive home. It's not charity. We need this. It's a really clear strategy for us to stay involved and to stay connected.
I heard someone say last night that now is a time for courage, and that really stuck with me. We thought, you know, it's not a secret that the world is a really scary place right now, and we're all really anxious and concerned about what the future looks like and what our personal futures look like and what our community futures look like. And so I feel really inspired to go right now is a time for courage, and now is a time for empathy and connection and community. And the arts are at the center of how we build community. So whoever you know, whoever you can reach out to, or show up at a thing all by yourself, be brave. and show up at a thing and introduce yourself to somebody, because I think the more we can connect with each other, and the more we can use the creative moments to connect with each other and share our stories and share our own experiences, the stronger we're gonna be, because we've all gotta hang on to the world together as we look forward.
I was gonna try really hard to look up this testimony that we got from one of our kids, but I guess from a community arts standpoint, we are not the only community arts organization in the suburban Columbus, you know. Many, Dublin has, Worthington has, New Albany has, I mean, and so I guess I feel like we provide a kind of an entry level, you know, you don't have to be a great opera singer to be in our adult community chorus, or the community band that we support, or the plays that we do. So, you know, show up, because the benefits that a person who gets involved in the arts far exceed, you know, what you're giving. You know, because you get a whole family. So, you know, sing, act, paint a set, build something, learn how to run lights, you know, any of those things, because that's what community arts organizations thrive on. Our board are all volunteers, and it's a hands-on board. It's not something where you get to be on our board and you pay, you know, $300 to be on the board and you get your name in lights. No, no, we're boots on the ground. We need, you know, all our board members need to, you know, volunteer to help out with stuff. So I think that, you know, and especially like social media is really important, but I'll be honest, I'm 74. I am not fluent in social media. I mean, yes, I'm on Facebook, and you're like, Facebook? You know, boomer, okay, boomer. You know. I don't have an Instagram account, and, you know, I am not fluent in that language, and we need people this age who are fluent in it to say, well, listen, you could do this and you could do that, and I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. But I never would have thought about it, because that is not an area that I'm, you know, trained in, so to speak. So if you are somebody that has those skills, volunteer for your local arts organization and say, hey, can I help you with your social media? Can I help you with some marketing ideas that I have? Or can I design a poster for you? You know, those, I mean, all those kinds of things that we can't necessarily afford to pay for, but could sure use the volunteer.
I think that was Matt's call to action right there.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, no, I second that. At the Columbus Pride Bands, I'm on the board because I'm the board of directors, marketing director. It's all volunteer, the exact same thing. I think the other thing to remember, and I would say this too, I think one of the questions is like, what would you say to 20 and 30-year-olds, which I am 20-year-olds. But I was like, well, one of the best things that I would say is that just like getting into those spaces and like volunteering yourself is also really great resume building. Like volunteering as like the marketing director, like, you know, yes, I have marketing experience, but the person before me didn't have any marketing experience. Our development person doesn't necessarily have a development experience, but they're building that experience, and it really is a great resume builder too. So as much as it also helps the organization, it can also help you. What you put in is also what you get out for a lot of the organizations that you work for. And I'm finding that right now with the symphony. Like, you know, later today I'm going to OSU to be a part of their career center fair or whatever, and we have gotten so many more college club members from that experience, which, yes, of course, we want them to be able to come experience music and so forth, but we also want to offer them the ability to have a space where they can like grow professionally and like talk to musicians. How do I audition for things and so forth? But my call to action, of course, is to come to things, share, but also like reach out and make connections if you can. You know, I don't know.
Excellent. I think we probably have time. Oh, it is 9 o'clock, but I think we have time. So if you have to leave, I totally understand. But if does anyone in the audience have any questions? Absolutely.
Yes, hi, so I'm Renee Taylor,
You have a
invited by
pretty
Cyrus.
handwriting.
Oh, yes, oh, you mean when I signed in?
When you signed
Okay.
in.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Yes, I was invited by Cyrus. This is my second time with CYP at one of these things. My question is, I live in Franklin County. I'm not in Ohio, but I've been here for 4 years. The reason why I came and I stayed was because of the funding I received from the Columbus Arts Council. So now we know funding has been cut, like we said, arts are the first to go. So what is the recommendation or the next step for those who have been funded by some of those organizations and nonprofits that are now being cut, where to go to next? Because I know for me, like Cyrus was saying, you know, people are coming in here, getting all the money, and then they're leaving. Well, the mandate through Greater Columbus was, you need to be a resident, you need to be in that part of that county, you need to stay here, and I made it my duty to commit myself to the culture, the community, and to everything that the economy needed while I was, you know, collecting those funds. So where to now to gain funding, donors, and sponsorships? Like, for example, I'm doing a project next year, so I'm looking for sponsorships. So who to go to? Of course, you in this room. Thank you for those that gave me cards. But yeah, so what's the next step for artists that are looking for supporters where they've gotten funding cut?
I will start out with that, and I would say connect with us. You know, let us know what you're up to. I think collaboration, as I mentioned before, is really critical, right? And it's also happening, and I think Greater Central Ohio is very well known for that. I think good chances are we might be able to connect you with, with schools, with universities, with organizations, with other groups that may be interested in this kind of thing. Sorry, did you want to share? Yeah, I was getting a little distracted, sorry. Yeah.
My name is Roy Nolan. I'm with Global Marketing Group.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem, I think the crowd and the panelists, the marketing. Giving you, like the lady from Hilliard out there, our council, that's really what we need. And if we're looking for funding from other corporate funding or other government agency, I'm a marketing guy, okay? So they have to wait. In order for me, if I'm a corporate guy, in order for me to fund or give donation for you, what's in there for me, okay? The biggest thing, there's so many out there asking for fund. So if you can give me more marketing part, so one is about marketing. The fund that giving it to you is set aside for the marketing for the company or the corporate. So what probably I can advise is find something that will be valuable to your donor. Otherwise, why do I put my money in you? Okay, so that's the marketing part. That's, I think the whole problem is really how do you market your products? Okay, there's a product and service out there that is good, but the marketing is sucks. So that's why you cannot have money, you cannot have fun. But there is a product service out there that's not really good, but the marketing is good. So they have money coming in. So I think, in my side, focus on how to go outside your community. Because I think what I found out is the art council or people is just marketing inside your community. You don't have to go market your service or activities in your community because those people will find you anyway. So I want you to go outside the box, outside the community, who don't even think about going into show, going out there, because that's where you want to bring in. People who have art in mind, they will find you. So that's my advice on that, because that's just like I said, everybody out there looking for fun. Okay, so if I'm a corporate guy, I said, what's in there for me?
Right, and I think that's great because this is the first step, right? Because a lot of us are in different areas, in different regions of the state and the city. And so now that we are in this room and now that we have these contacts, I do have a sponsorship package where I will outline what I'm doing, what's in it for you. And now being in this room, I can connect to people that are outside of my normal realm. So, yeah.
And also with, we also have a problem in volunteering. Okay, even the volunteers, they're asking for, they can only work volunteer so much. But again, there's a personal interest in volunteer. What do I get from there? Either a credit or my personal, promoting my personal thing or personal business. Because I can only volunteer so much, right? To bring more volunteers, you have to emphasize the value of volunteering. Personal, business, whatever. Because everybody, especially people in business, small business, they want to volunteer because they want to expand their personal or business interests. Everybody is just two-way highway.
Thank you. I know we're limited.
Yeah. And thank you for that, Mike.
Hi, Mike Howard. I direct the South of Main Community Redevelopment Project on Main Street. And I'm a volunteer for 12 and a half years. And art, as much as anything else, is an integral component of the redevelopment, the uplifting of the community. So while my older daughter graduated from Parsons, I can't draw stick figures. I have no talent. But I am supportive. And so, Councilmember Padilla has started this Art on Main Street project. And I've had my first conversation with her to help make sure that art is part of the redevelopment of this disadvantaged community, especially with the bus rapid transit corridor that's coming. And so we're going to have mixed-use commercial. Our partner, Cyrus here in Hilliard, Steve Wathen, Equity Development, Equity Construction Services. That's our commercial partner, right, Hilliard. And I'm sure that they would be very open to talking about how to help implement art, to integrate art in this project. It's a 30-block area. There's going to be at least 200 doubles, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, affordable, sustainable residences built. A lot of local businesses are going to be drawn back into it. And art's critical. So I want those snails.
And did you wanna finish?
No, I'm just gonna connect
Yes.
with you afterwards. Yeah, no, I
Yes.
think, talk, right? Like,
Yeah.
just talk to people, tell them what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
I'm very interested, like, I wanna know what you're doing.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I can continue working with my network and, might be able to connect you with other folks
Yes.
who can fund, the kind of work that you're doing.
Yes, thank
So
you.
that's really what, artists are so central to our operation, right? We couldn't do the work that we do without our artists. So-
It's my survival.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
And you're in good company today. I think that's one of the
Yes,
things
yes,
I
that's
like
why I come to these.
about, well, yes, like I understand that, the two-way street is important. There are people, myself included, I'm a volunteer here today. I'm taking vacation time to be here from my job. And so there is, there are people out there with that altruistic, mindset of I can give just to give because I want to, of my time, my money, my talent. And so I think maybe I have two rose-colored glasses on right now, and especially in our current political climate. But there's people who are out there, and Cyrus can attest to it as well. A lot of them show up today. Sometimes we feel like we're kind of preaching to the choir because the people that are passionate about these topics are here.
Yeah.
And we're always brainstorming, how do we get those outsiders or how do we get those people who might not know in the room with us? And maybe it is a marketing thing, and we can, chat offline, but I would say that, you're in the right place.
Yeah.
And the experts have given their 2 cents as
And I
well.
want to add to the fact that, and I heard you say earlier that you love to work with third graders, with kids.
Yeah.
Parents will pay
Oh, yeah.
all kinds of
I
money
know, I'm about to.
for
I'm a tutor as
classes.
well.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm in the
that
process
is-
of becoming a tutor.
That is our biggest income, is A, from our kids' shows, which always sell out,
Yeah.
and B, our camps. I mean, people,
Yeah,
we
I was
have
at the King
waiting
Arts
lists.
Center this past summer.
And so I think, if you can market yourself maybe initially in that arena, you know, people will throw money at you to say, oh, here, teach my child for.
There's also, the symphony, we have an amazing fund called the Ann Melvin Fund. Now, I didn't do visual art or,
No, performing arts.
well, here we go. So Ann Melvin, she was an
And
amazing
literary.
supporter of the symphony, and there's a community fund. So up to a certain amount, we can support musicians to play or whatever, or do some sort of community engagement event that you could potentially be a part of.
Okay.
I don't know about other organizations. I know the Pride Band has a little bit of a community engagement kind of thing where we also support community artists like that. But that would be something also, again, to maybe reach out to other organizations to ask if they have any community engagement funds that their talent could also support your talent in that, so it could be a collaborative part.
And you're connected with Cyrus, who,
Well, yes, and he
and there's
is a sheriff.
someone who can find
Yes.
someone to help you.
Oh, yeah, he'll find it, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I want to stay on your question, what Renee said, like, what should artists do now? And I think we've got to adapt and overcome and evolve. Every generation is set a challenge. And if you look at the animal kingdom, what do they think? We evolve. We figured out through conversation like this. And so you are definitely in the right place. And now because you came here, you're going to network with all these people. And if they don't got the resources, they know someone who does.
Right.
So that is the moves we have to make. And it's, heard that quote a while ago, it's your net worth is equal to your network.
Right,
You know, so step up your network and keep on helping people. And I feel like that is, you know, your way of adapting to these ever-changing days, right? So we've got to find a way to cooperate, like I keep saying, with each other, and this is how you do it right here.
I just want to add to that, the conversation is like, come to Cyrus, because I'm performing arts. too.
Yes.
Sometimes it opens doors to things you don't, all the way over here. So I meet the CEO, tell him what I do, performance arts, and he's on the board of Brown University, which only has a 3% acceptance rate. Then all of a sudden, my son gets you've been accepted, you know, kind of.
Congratulations,
Mom.
Mom.
Oh, that was like 5 years ago.
Well, still.
Then it's
Yeah,
Mama
getting
moving
that.
on to, you know, get this PhD, you know, and this guy and this guy and this guy, again, because from the networking, simply because talking to you about, oh, and you don't have to pay for it, mother, you know, so it just opens the door. So just being a talker, so I have all these notes, and you guys are gonna be getting all kind of
Emails.
volunteers, you know, and can I connect with you on LinkedIn? So it's not just about the space you wanna do it, you know, all, you know, areas of your life, and I love that.
One more comment from Mike, and then we'll wrap up.
As part of the redevelopment, we're creating the neighborhood performance center in
Oh, that's
the
great.
revamped high school auditorium gym.
Oh, that's
But
fabulous.
also, the church is going to be renovated to become a state-of-the-art event center.
I heard about that.
Yeah. And so, we are going to be very open, inviting for visiting art events, for the event center or the performance center. Also, to his point about marketing. We know the lay of the land. What I've done is recreate the ask aimed at the audience that has funding. So rather than say, well, we're this poor nonprofit that is trying to do this in the community along with OSU, Goodwill, St. Vincent's Family Services, so on and so forth, we're saying this is a redevelopment project that is a transit-oriented development, private-public partnership, BB3, to complement the bus rapid transit corridor.
It's in the language, it's in the language, Mr. Howard.
Thank you. That's marketing. So, you gotta know your audience, and you gotta form that ask to win that audience. The money's tight, we all know that. So, and you only get one shot. Otherwise, they don't want to talk to you for 2 years.
So,
Okay, this is the
Thank
last
you.
thing. This is the last thing to say.
I'm timing you.
A quote, and I must get this out. Ask for money, you will get advice. Ask for advice, you will get money. So Renee just did it. She didn't ask for money, she just asked for advice. And so I think some good things are gonna come our way. So that's a good quote. I started living by and it actually works.
Wonderful. Well, can we give a round of applause to our panelists? As always, I leave these feeling so empowered. I want to go change the world and be subscription holders for all of the different events that we're representing today. But yeah, feel free. We have some extra pastries, more coffee. Feel free to do that. Feel free to mingle and you know, make those connections. Get those LinkedIn follows. You want to get a picture? The panelists want to get a picture real quick?
Brian, I'm actually here, so. So I go here. Yeah. Yeah. How long have you been there?